Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody here who is joining our program here on the air. We want to welcome everybody. Everybody deserves to have that privilege to be welcomed to our show tonight. We're going to start this show off by singing the U.S. National Anthem right now by the United States Army Barbershop Quartet. I would ask everybody now to please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Oh yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it.
Let them know it. The United States Army Barbershop Quartet performing at the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. We appreciate these men doing this for us and for our nation. We appreciate all of our armed forces here in the United States who might be here in the U.S. or abroad. We love and appreciate their service. We appreciate all of our allied armed forces as well, whoever they might be, protecting their countries and helping the United States enforce the law throughout the world. We appreciate them very much. Folks, as I've said before, I've asked all of you to share your feelings about the United States military or the military in your countries. Please, folks, share this video all over the place. We want to tell our men and women in the service to our countries, thank you for your service. And may you all return home to your families in safety when your tours of duty end. Thank you all for your service, guys. We appreciate it very much. God bless you all. Folks, I have a lot of things to talk about tonight. Yes, in a few minutes I'm going to talk about earthquakes around the world and here in the United States, including an earthquake that happened off the coast of Pires, California, Northern California today, on the Mendocino Ridge that was felt all the way to Reno. We will talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about a lot of other earthquakes as well. I would ask all of you, please, stay where you are. Don't leave this channel. It's very important that you hear this information. It may save your life. The things we're going to talk about tonight are very, very important. Please stay here. Some housekeeping first. Please, folks, if you've already been subscribed to this channel, please check your subscriptions now. YouTube is still unsubscribing people right and left. We dropped another 8 people overnight. Please check your subscriptions to this channel. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. When you do subscribe, next to the subscription button, there's a little icon, a bell icon. Click on it. There will be a drop-down menu of 3 items. Click on the word all. That should get you notified when we come on the air. But be advised, YouTube does still not like notifying people when we come on the air. To do our programs, we come on the air between 6 and 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. I was hoping to be on the air just after 6 today, but I had trouble getting on the air. We have a lot to talk about tonight. Please subscribe to this channel. Don't let YouTube rule who you watch or listen to. This is an important thing. Folks, I'm not trying to gain subscribers for me. I'm trying to notify everybody what's going on. We talked about emergencies, both natural and man-made emergencies, all the time around the world. We talk about natural disasters that happen. We talk about emergency preparedness as well. Yes, we do occasionally talk about politics when it may involve our safety, our nation's safety in each one of our individual homes. We're going to talk about that tonight. I've got a lot of information to share with you that you and your family are going to want to have. Brokefish says he has to check on his burn pie. He'll be right back. Thank you, Brokefish. We appreciate that so much as well. We appreciate everybody who is watching this program throughout the world. Thank you for that. Now, folks, I have a lot of things I need to talk about, to share with you. To start off, throughout the years, and especially during the last few days, I've been asked why I am broadcasting my support for Donald Trump for President of the United States. It's just not my support. It's because his life is in danger. Our country is also in danger, whether anybody wants to believe it or not. Our country is in danger, and our countries worldwide are in danger because of what is going on politically here in the United States. And I've proven it. Now, the Democrat Communist Party here in the United States has been on a roller coaster. A giant roller coaster going up and down. Now, from their collective dread that helped force Joe Biden out of office, to the high of the Harris honeymoon after her nomination for President of the United States. It's never happened before in my lifetime or in the history of the United States ever. Biden was taken from office by a coup staged against him. Biden has been President of the United States, and he still is. But a coup raged by the Democrat Communist Party here in the United States. Miss Kamala Harris. Most people don't even know her last name. If you say Harris, people wonder what you're talking about or who you may be talking about. Kamala Harris is the Vice President of the United States. The end of August, the Democrat Communist Party staged a coup against Biden. Why? Because Biden went up in a debate against Donald J. Trump. Biden lost that debate hands down. It was at that time the Democrat Communist Party of America decided they could not put Donald Trump up against Biden because Biden would lose handily. So the Communist Party here in America put up Miss Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States, to run as President of the United States. Kamala Harris had not won one vote, not one primary vote at all. Biden had, but they threw Biden's support to Harris. All the money that Biden had raised to run for President of the United States, the Communist Party of America gave it to Kamala Harris. Harris has been up and down in the polls since. Even during the Harris honeymoon, directly after the Democrat Communist Party ran during their nomination for president at the end of August, Harris had a small jump to her support. Since then, that support has dwindled. Right now, it appears that Trump will win the election, that he will walk away with this election. Even with that said, I want to say this thing. None of us can be too careful. We can't just say that Trump will win. We must throw our support and go to the polls against Biden and Harris. We cannot allow Harris to win at all. Not now, not ever. Yes, it looks like Trump will win. He's gained a lot of momentum. We have to keep the heat on Kamala Harris and force her out of the limelight. Force her out of the vice presidency of the United States and force her out of the White House. Now, it's only 12 days until Election Day, but here is what is happening. I see this as an emergency situation, and that is why we are talking about it today. I consider this time in our lives as on the brink of an ultimate disaster. Not just to the United States, because if the United States loses this election to Harris, each and every country around the world will be damaged. What happens in less than 2 weeks could decide whether this country crashes and burns and our lives turn upside down along with the rest of the world. I'm talking about World War. We are nearest the worst World War III that can be imagined. We are so close to World War III, it's not funny. If Harris wins, we will be in World War III. Guaranteed, cotton picking. We must ensure that President Trump wins this election, hands down. We need to go to the polls. We need to make sure he gets elected, and that Harris loses handily. You might ask, how is this possible? Again, it's very simple. Our economy is on the verge of an absolute crash. Biden and Harris have been responsible for it. They have given money to Ukraine because the Biden crime family, has had their pockets filled with money from Ukraine ever since he was vice president to Obama. The Biden crime family has been getting money from Ukraine, and now Biden and his crime family are making sure that he is sending the taxpayer cash to Ukraine for handing him cash prior to his being president. And I believe the Biden crime family is also getting cash still from Ukraine. Our country is in debt to the tune of trillions and trillions, hundreds of trillions of dollars. And the leadership of this country, including Biden and Harris, here in the United States, are responsible. And they are not lifting a finger to do anything about it. Instead, they're continued giving our money, our taxpayer money, to a rogue country that Biden has supported, and they have given money to Biden. And they think nothing about it. Biden and Harris continue to provide money to illegal aliens. Taxpayer money. This is endangering our military veterans from the very beginning. Biden and Harris have evicted military veterans from hospitals, military veterans from hotels and their homes, all so they can give the money to illegal aliens, opening up the border, allowing illegal aliens to cross the border unimpeded, inviting millions of illegal aliens. 20 million illegal aliens have come across the border in the past 3 years. It hopes that the illegal aliens will vote Democrat Communist Party into office and keep the Democrat Communist Party in charge for the lifetime that they are here. Many of those illegal aliens are murderers, drug users, and terrorists. It is said there's over 30,000 terrorists here in the United States that have crossed over our southern border during the past 3 years. Biden and Harris are providing these illegals with homes and giving them cash money in the form of a credit card, anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 each per month, giving them homes to live in, giving them cash for food and any other incidentals that they might need, all in order to keep them here in this country to vote for the Democrat Communist Party of America. As a result, our Social Security money that goes to the elderly people here in our own country, that the elderly people have worked all their lives to have. Now the Biden-Harris administration have given a lot of that money to the illegals in order to live, bringing them here into this country. Then we've recently found out that the Biden-Harris administration, including Walz, has been giving these illegals money from the FEMA Disaster Fund. The Federal Emergency Management agency's funds for disasters here in the United States, to provide money to assist American citizens to get back on their feet after a disaster may have left them homeless with nothing. And yet the Biden-Harris administration has done this. Yes, I have checked, and I made sure I checked. I have vetted that information. I found it to be correct. I've also done some checking. There is a FEMA camp up in Asheville and throughout the areas of the Western Mountains of North Carolina. FEMA camps that were erected by our National Guard to provide homes for the people that have been displaced by Hurricane Helene. And yet, where is FEMA? Where are the people from FEMA? Nowhere to be found. FEMA will tell you that they've been run out by the militias here in North Carolina. FEMA is lying through their teeth. Yes, our National Guard has built shelters for the people who've been displaced, who've lost their homes, who've lost their food and well-being. We've had a lot of people that have also died as a result of that hurricane. Even as much as this week, people have been found after 20 days without food and water, just barely existing. Other people have been found dead where they were standing. People have been buried by landslides and flooding, as well as their homes destroyed. Yes, there are reefer trucks, refrigerated truck trailers on site up in the mountains. I suppose some of them may be used for temporary morgues, because the funeral homes up in the mountains cannot handle the number of people that have passed away. It said Mission Hospital in Asheville, North Carolina has over 900 bodies there. And they can't release those bodies for burial until those people have been identified. Incredible, huh? Where are our FEMA funds being made available to do this? That is one of the things the FEMA fund should be used for. Why has that not happened? Everyday citizens of this country have seen price hikes across the board for food and other living supplies. Everyday life essentials that seem to continue to spiral costs upward and out of sight to most American pocketbooks. Most Americans only scratching by with living essentials, while illegal aliens seem to be getting more and more of our money, taxpayer money. Senior citizens have less and less money and will soon be living out on the streets if something doesn't happen. More and more of our young people are also finding themselves living on the streets because of the Biden-Harris economic policies. Now, I have never seen anyone treated like Donald Trump has been treated. I have never seen anyone here in the United States being treated like Donald Trump has been treated. He has been attacked. His home was illegally seized and searched by the preeminent elite law enforcement agency of this country, the FBI. Illegally seized and searched. Even his wife's private drawers were searched. Donald Trump has been illegally gone through and gone after by Biden's elite attorneys. Illegally charged with crimes that don't exist. Yes, crimes that don't exist. Crimes that the judges have said don't exist. Crimes that were dreamed up by people such as Jack Smith, who is supposedly supposed to be a special prosecutor that has gone after Donald Trump. Where did Jack Smith come from? Jack Smith was not a federal prosecutor. He was never a special prosecutor either. Special prosecutors have to be interviewed by Congress before a president is allowed to make them a special prosecutor. That never happened. And yet Jack Smith continues to go after Donald Trump. Donald Trump was illegally arrested in Georgia, illegally arrested in New York City, and tried for crimes that did not exist. Tried for crimes that he did not do. Now, most of these charges have been dropped, and others will also soon be dropped. Then yesterday, 13 days prior to the election, good old Joe Biden comes out of his basement. Joe Biden addressed a group of reporters in New Hampshire. Incredible. Joe Biden addressed a group of reporters in New Hampshire. Why? Why? Because he had nothing better to do. Joe Biden told the group of reporters yesterday afternoon that Trump should be arrested because he's running against Biden and Harris. Because Trump is running against Biden and Harris. That in and of itself is illegal prosecution of a political challenger. These kinds of prosecutions only happen in banana republics. They only happen in banana republics like Venezuela and Colombia. But Biden immediately backtracked after saying of Trump, "We've got to lock him up." President Joe Biden has declared that Donald Trump should be locked up before quickly correcting himself. Biden made the controversial remark after the Democrat Communist Party Concord, New Hampshire headquarters on Tuesday, where he warned that democracy hangs in the balance as Trump continues to close in on Kamala Harris in the national polls. Not just closing in, but beating Kamala Harris handily. Now, I know this sounds bizarre. If I said this 5 years ago, Biden said he would have been locked up. Biden said if he had said this 5 years ago, they would have locked him up. Biden said, claiming that the U.S. Supreme Court's July presidential immunity ruling would mean Trump, a convicted felon, could eliminate his enemies. Yeah. The United States Supreme Court reversed the charges against Donald Trump. And because of that reversal, Biden thought that Trump could come after him. Yesterday and Tuesday, He said, quote, "We gotta lock him up. We gotta lock him up." The audience in the Democrat Party headquarters in New Hampshire was loudly giving him applause. Loudly giving him applause. Then Biden clarified himself, quote, "Politically lock him up. Stop him from proceeding this election." Softening his rhetoric, he said, "Lock him out. That's what we got to do, is lock him out." With less than 2 weeks, 12 days until Election Day on November 2nd. A current Biden administration official appeared unfazed by Biden's remarks. For, quote, "For better or worse, no one is listening to Biden any longer. And Biden's words have little power and less reach." That was what a Biden staffer said yesterday. For better or worse, no one is listening to Joe Biden any longer. His words have little power and less reach. A former Biden aide said the incumbent's calls to lock President Trump up could harm Harris's campaign. Now the Harris administration and the Biden administration realizes that their rhetoric could harm Harris's election campaign. Quote, noting that this could be politically unhelpful to Harris, former Biden official texts on X, "We gotta lock Joe up." This time, one of his own administration officials said that we gotta lock Joe up. The Trump campaign was quick to condemn Biden's remarks about locking him up as disgraceful, unquote. Quote, "Joe Biden just admitted the truth. He and Kamala's plan all along has been to personally, politically prosecute their opponent, President Trump, because they can't beat him fair and square." That is what Trump's spokesman Carolyn Leavitt said in a statement last night. Joe Biden just admitted the truth. He and Kamala's plan all along has been to politically persecute President Trump because they can't beat President Trump fair and square. The Harris-Biden administration is a real threat to democracy here in the United States. My opinion. We are calling upon Kamala Harris to condemn Joe Biden's disgraceful remarks. Harris is repeatedly confronted by crowds calling for Trump, who was convicted last summer of 34 felony counts in New York, to be jailed. Her own supporters are asking for Trump to be jailed. It's not going to happen, Kamala. It's not going to happen, America. Those were illegal charges. And even the judge in New York has said as much. This week, Harris called Trump a fascist. Kamala Harris does not even know what the word fascist means. The real fascist is Kamala Harris herself. What is the definition of fascism? Fascism is a populist political philosophy, a movement, or a regime regimes such as the Biden-Harris administration that exalts nation and often race above the individual. Isn't that exactly what Biden and Harris have been doing? Exalting nation and race above President Trump. That is also associated with a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, Biden. That is characterized by a severe economic and social regimentation. Characterized by a severe economic and social regimentation, and by forceful suppression of opposition. Forceful suppression of opposition. What do you think the Biden-Harris administration has been doing for the past 3.5 years? Suppressing public thought. Sending the FBI to Twitter, that's now X, Facebook, and YouTube. Telling the social networks to suppress information from the public. To tell the opposition that they don't know what they're talking about. And censoring them. Putting them in Facebook jail. And people like me that have been suppressed by YouTube. Knocking us off the air. I had another YouTube channel that I've been on the air with for 4 years. YouTube took it down. YouTube censored me 5 times. First taking me off the air for 24 hours. The next time was 2 weeks. The next time was 3 weeks. The next time was a week, and the next time I was knocked off the air completely. That's when I got this program started after 3 days. And now I've been back on the air for nearly a year and a half. For a total of 5.5 years on the air. YouTube, Facebook, and X. Or not X, but Twitter. Prior to Elon Musk buying Twitter and calling it X. The FBI. The FBI legitimized federal law enforcement and told them to be the Democrat Communist Party's opposition. To force people to abide by what Biden and Harris wanted them to do. Fact. Fact. What is going on in Canada? The same darn thing. Justin Trudeau in Canada is doing the same thing. Mobilizing the RCMP to go after the people. If Trudeau doesn't like what's going on, he silences the opposition, just like Biden and Harris have done. Suppressing the opposition, the people's community, in which individual interests would be subordinated to the good of the nation, Biden and Harris. Fact. Fact, guys. This seems to be the definition of what Kamala Harris has been saying for a long time. Kamala Harris has been calling Trump Hitler. Harris has been calling Trump Hitler. For now calling for her political opposition to be halted and jailed. Yes, Harris has wanted Trump jailed. I'm going to ask the question now. Kamala, who's a fascist now? Kamala, who is a fascist now? It's you, Kamala. I'm calling you Hitler. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are Hitler, allowing their policies to stand, weaponizing the FBI to go after private citizens. What just happened the end of September? September 27th, the Biden-Harris administration's weaponized the Department of Defense to attack United States citizens, up to and including killing United States citizens for opposing Biden-Harris policies. Then what happened? Harris said no, it was Trump. Harris immediately said Trump did it. No, he did not. The Biden-Harris administration did it. The Biden-Harris administration did that. But Harris has been blaming Trump for everything. Whenever Harris has done something out of line, she's blamed it on Trump. And when she's done that, all of a sudden she becomes tongue-tied. She becomes tongue-tied. Kamala, who is a fascist now? It's been 95 days since Harris has held a formal news conference, since emerging as the heir apparent to Joseph Biden since the Democrat convention, although never receiving one vote or being elected to press forward as the nominee of the Democrat Party. Harris rally goers are in Grand Rapids, Michigan, yelling, "Lock him up, lock him up," after Harris described Trump as an unserious man. Harris responded to the people that were saying lock him up. Harris said, quote, "The courts are going to take care of that." Again, Harris weaponizing the courts, weaponizing federal law enforcement to force Trump into the courts. Isn't that just how the Biden administration and the Biden-Harris administration have been doing what they wanted to do? Weaponizing law enforcement and weaponizing the courts. Harris has said Trump is not serious. Harris has been saying that Trump is old and feeble and can't keep up. Really? Trump seems more serious than even Harris. Biden's comments came after Trump set up alarm bells when he suggested deploying the military to handle radical liberals and so-called enemies on Election Day. Yes, so-called enemies on Election Day. Trump is going to stop what's been going on, starting day one once he takes office. He said that, and I take Trump at his word. Trump was not the one talking about weaponizing the United States military to attack U.S. citizens, to even put them to death. Biden put out the DOD directive on September 27th. Harris also called for the military to attack dissident citizens who are against the Democrat Communist Party, Harris and Biden. A recent poll of Trump battleground states has Trump up 20 points over Harris. Another poll has Harris's job approval at minus 12%. Minus 12%. Not anywhere in the public range, in the positive range. Remnant Truth is here in the chat saying he voted yesterday. I also voted yesterday. Here is my voting sticker right here. There is my voting sticker right there. I voted yesterday. Harris's job approval rating is in the minus numbers. She's the worst candidate for president ever. Ever. There's been nobody worse. This past week, CNN became very concerned when they went to children in the 5th grade. CNN went to a 5th grade class. All of them said they were voting and they would be leaning to President Trump. One young girl pointed at a picture of Harris and called her a liar. Another girl said that Trump had given his life and his heart. Vice President Kamala Harris gathered reporters the day after her CNN town hall that sidestepped answering questions on topics from the border to Beyonce. Kamala Harris wouldn't answer questions. Kamala Harris wouldn't answer questions today from reporters. She sidestepped the reporters' questions. Why? Because Harris cannot think on her feet. Harris can't even think on her feet or read a teleprompter, especially if that teleprompter goes south on her. What happened last week when she said 32, 32, 32 12 times? Because the teleprompter died. When pressed on whether she supports continuing building a border wall, among other topics, Harris again sidestepped and refused to answer. She's previously described the wall as stupid, useless, and a medieval vanity project, calling it a medieval vanity project. Last week, President Trump was at a rally. The head of the Border Patrol Union was at the rally on stage, along with many of his Border Patrol spokesmen. The head of the Border Patrol Union said that if Harris is elected, this country will go to hell. Only one man can fix it, and that man is Donald J. Trump. The Border Patrol Union head said Donald Trump has put his life on the line for what is right. We have the choice to follow the criminal drug cartels to control the border to allow drugs and fentanyl into our country, or put an end to it once and for all. Harris is telling anyone that will listen to her that Trump is exhausted. But who took 3 days off from her campaign since Monday, saying she was exhausted herself? Trump has not taken any time off at all. Harris is lying, and she's the pot calling the kettle black. That brings up another subject. Harris is calling herself black. And every time she's before black voters, she changes her accent to a black Southern accent to try to gain their respect for her. She further denigrates herself, putting up a fake accent, even in a church in Texas, lying to the people again. Tonight, Harris is appearing before voters at a rally in Georgia for the first time since Monday, after she took several days off to prepare for an MSNBC interview. in which she could not even answer questions. She said she was preparing for the MSNBC interview, but today she could not even answer questions. Harris was exhausted from the campaign trail, so exhausted that she had to take time off. And she sent Barack Obama out on the campaign trail to talk for her. Who is Barack Obama now? Barack Obama is a puppet master. The puppet master holding the lines for Biden and Harris. Barack Obama took office in 2008. For 8 years, he was in charge. 8 years he was in charge. He said he was going to transform America into a country that he wanted it to be. Transforming America, making sure our history books didn't say anything about the War of 1812 or the war in 1776 or saying anything about our pioneers coming across the plains. Trump or Obama did not want that history known. He only wanted the history known as Obama. What Obama wants people to remember, or what Obama wants people to say. Now, Obama's out of office and still controlling Biden by the strings above his head, and also Harris, the puppet master. Now, I want to ask another question. How would you like our homeland attacked and have her answer the phone at 3 a.m. in the morning and her say to whoever's on the other side, "I'm too tired to answer the phone. Call me once I wake up"? Is this the kind of person you want in charge of your country? Is this the kind of president you want in charge of your country? Someone that cannot even answer the phone at 3 a.m. or answer a reporter's question or come to the microphone when a major event happens here in the United States and the public wants answers to their questions. But she's not able to answer because, one, she's either too stupid, or two, she's not ready to do anything. Kamala Harris cannot be elected to the office of the President of the United States because she cannot handle the pressure of the job. Plain and simple. Richard Smith is here in the chat saying she would be hungover. Well, guess what? Her own staff yesterday said that she appeared to be on some kind of drug. Then one of Trump's aides also said the same thing, that Harris appeared to be strung out on some drug. Yeah, because she cannot handle the pressure of running for the office of President of the United States or doing anything. Let's take a look at a video clip that I have ready for you. Unreal. Unreal. Watch this.
The security of Minnesota's absentee ballots is being questioned after this photo surfaced online. That is a van filled with thousands of completed ballots in front of Edina City Hall last Friday. Esme Murphy has the response from election officials and the protocols in place to protect your vote.
The courier was picking up completed ballots from different city halls to bring them to Hennepin County elections. Surveillance.
Okay? The courier was picking up completed ballots and returning those ballots to City Hall. Completed ballots. When is the last time we heard of a courier picking up completed ballots? The last election. After President Trump at 7 p.m., after the polls closed, President Trump was ahead of the election. He was beating Biden handily. Then all of a sudden, completed ballots started surfacing throughout the night. And by morning, Biden had beat Trump. Now here again in Minnesota, let's continue watching this clip.
Cameras rolled as he left the tailgate open at his Edina stop for about 8 minutes. No one was seen approaching the van.
Absentee ballots need to be attended at all times. When we reached out to the courier, they were very responsive to us. They completely understood and shared our dismay at this happening. And they assured us that they have terminated the driver in question.
All of the ballots that were left in the van have been carefully studied. None were tampered with, according to Hennepin County officials. And all the numbers in terms of the ballots inside the van match the numbers that were taken at the city election facilities.
It's outrageous. This is inexcusable, and it violates Minnesota law, which requires the secure control of ballots at all times.
But Jacob says while the violation is serious, Hennepin County appears to have had other security protocols in place.
Each of the boxes in this van had a seal on it. If the seal had been broken and someone had gone around the corner and tried to tamper with the ballots, that would have been known, and each voter would have been identified with their barcode.
Voters we showed the picture to are concerned.
It certainly would raise questions in my mind in terms of how secure the process is.
Hennepin County says the couriers are receiving additional training. Esme Murphy, WCCO News.
We did reach out to courier company Smart Delivery, but we have not heard back. In a statement, Secretary of Steve Simon called this incident unacceptable. He went on to say the county has taken appropriate, swift, and transparent action to determine that no ballots were compromised and to ensure this will not happen again.
This is Autos.
So allegedly, this will never happen again. What happened 4 years ago? What happened 4 years ago? The same kind of thing happened 4 years ago. Literally all over the country. Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, Alabama, New York, and Pennsylvania, Florida. All because the Democrat Communist Party of America wanted to vote in Joseph Biden. So so Obama could be in control. This time the top Democratic officials in Minnesota, the election officials in Minnesota, called the incident a teachable moment. The state's top Democratic official called the incident a teachable moment. And yet, how many times has this happened in the past? Has each of the other times that it's happened 4 years ago been a teachable moment? Ballots have been found in trash cans. Ballots have been found in storage units. Ballots have been found everywhere. And yet nobody has yet been prosecuted for it. And Biden has remained in office. And the courier, in this case in Minnesota, has been fired. Interesting. Interesting. Who noticed this van full of ballots? A Republican. A Republican noticed it. Spotted the ballots in the back of an unsecured vehicle. Interesting. Folks, this happened on October 18th. Can you wonder what would happen, or what would have happened, if this had not been seen on video, and if someone had not reported it? Interesting. Interesting. The surveillance video shows the unsecured ballots left exposed in the parking lot for nearly 10 minutes, long enough for someone to tamper with them, even though no one was seen near the back of that vehicle. The eyewitness who snapped the photograph in the beginning told KSTP-TV that he was concerned about a fair election. This is exactly what cannot happen any longer. This cannot happen any longer. Not now and not ever. Richard Smith here in the chat is asking, I wonder how many dead people will be voting this time. I can assure you, Richard, that many states have gone through their voter registrations. And in some cases, hundreds of thousands of people have been removed from voter registration. Hundreds of thousands of people have been removed from voter registration systems. In one case I heard it was over 700,000 people had been removed from voter rolls after they were found either moved from the area or dead. Interesting. The protocol for transporting ballots is that they are to be secured at all times. And Hennepin County, Minnesota has alerted its courier of this incident. Hennepin County acknowledges that this lapse in protocol occurred and should not have happened, and that it is unacceptable. Corrective actions have been taken by Hennepin County officials, and its courier has been fired to prevent any reoccurrence. They fired the election worker who left the ballots unsecured. How many more times is this going to happen? How many more times is this going to happen? Again, I'm going to repeat what Hennepin County officials said, that they have determined that all expected ballots have been accounted for and found no evidence of tampering with sealed transfer cases. This is done by comparing the ballots received from the courier with the record in the statewide voter registration system for all absentee ballots accepted by the cities. The comparison demonstrated a 100% match. This step is routine in the ballot integrity process. This is occurring with every voter transfer. The county staff has inspected individual ballots. They have determined the absentee ballot envelopes within the cases were received in sealed condition. The inspection is also routine election integrity process. Minnesota Secretary of State Steve Simon, who's also a Democrat, said the incident was totally unacceptable. Yet he said he still chalked it up as a teachable moment. A teachable moment. Incredible. Crap like that is still happening. Let's see how many times it's going to continue. With that said, before I go on here with the rest of this program, President Trump will be at another rally in Nevada, in Las Vegas. He's going to be joined by one-time Democrat presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard, who's now a registered Republican, and conservative activist Charlie Cook. President Trump's vice presidential nominee, J.D. Vance, is making the rounds at another rally in Michigan. Trump appears to be leading the voter registrations and leading the balloting right now throughout this country. What can we do to ensure that this continues? We also must right now continue making sure that we are also voting ourselves. We must ensure that we are voting ourselves for President of the United States. We must make sure our vote is counted, number one. If we vote with a machine, we must ensure that the voting machine is not tampered with, and that our vote is counted correctly. And that if we voted for President Trump, it needs to be counted for President Trump and not changed. Like what happened to me in 2012. When my vote for President Romney, or for Senator Romney, was changed by the machine to Barack Obama. And then I got a letter 2 weeks later saying the Salt Lake I got a letter in the mail from the Salt Lake County Registrar of Voters saying that my vote was not even counted, after I had asked for a paper ballot, and my vote was not even counted. How many people like that had that happen to? At least 3 other people at the time I voted. At least 3 other people in Salt Lake County, where I voted in American Fork, had problems with the machine. Did they get the same treatment by the Registrar of Voters office, not counting their ballots? I have a feeling that's right. Heidi Petrick just gifted another 5 Emergency Management Associate memberships. She gifted Barbie Little, David Lowe, Dakota Prairie, and Bellator Senex with memberships to the Emergency Management Associates Network here on YouTube. Folks, if you were gifted memberships here with us, please thank Heidi Petrick. Heidi Petrick has done this for many people in the past. I want to commend her for doing it. Heidi Petrick is a dear friend of ours as well as a friend of the program. And we appreciate Heidi for doing this. Heidi, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you, dear. I appreciate you. Now I want to talk about something else that happened last night at approximately 4 a.m. this morning. Over on the southeast side of this picture, on the lower left side of this picture, the sun launched an X-Class 3 flare. The sun launched an X-Class 3 flare from the southeast limb of the sun. Now, while this is at the southeast side of the sun, this will hit the Earth as a glancing blow. This was an X-Class 3 flare. This flare lasted 7 to 8 hours this morning. The flare launched off the face of the sun at approximately 4 a.m. An X-Class 3 flare. This did not immediately produce a geostorm, a geomagnetic storm. However, it is expected to generate a G3 class storm today. And it may already be generating a G3 class geomagnetic storm as we speak. Now, within 2 hours after this solar flare was launched, it began radiating X-ray radiation at the Earth. It began radiating X-ray radiation at the Earth for 7 to 8 hours. So those of you that might have been affected and don't feel well today, if you are susceptible to X-ray radiation, if you are susceptible to your mind being altered by X-rays from the sun or from solar flares, if you have a little bit of a hard time sometimes with your mind or even controlling your moods, these flares may be responsible. These flares may be responsible. Beltor Senex, who was gifted a membership, says that they are just usually lurking and learning. Bellator, we appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Richard Smith just reported another large 5.1 earthquake that happened over in Tonga with the depth of 94 kilometers deep. Still a very shallow earthquake. We're going to be talking about earthquakes in Tonga and New Zealand in just a few minutes. But anyway, this happened early this morning. Folks, let me show you another picture. Look at this. This is what the Solar Dynamic Observatory, which is about 1 million miles away from the Earth. This is what the Solar Dynamic Observatory showed us this morning. The disc that's in the middle of the photograph is a disc that prevents the camera from being exposed to high intensity light that would ruin the visibility of the camera. It's called an occulter disc. Look at this explosion. This is called a halo explosion on the sun, or a halo eruption. Look what happened here. Look what happened. An X3 class solar flare that lasted 7 to 8 hours earlier today. It started at 4 a.m. and allegedly lasted until about 10 or 11 a.m. this morning. Incredible. Incredible. Isn't that wild? Now, with this solar eruption, by tonight or tomorrow, we are going to see auroras. We're going to see auroras in the northern hemisphere. These auroras may be seen in Canada and the northern United States, as well as Russia and Scandinavia. You folks down in Australia or New Zealand that are watching this program tonight, you folks are also going to see auroras in the southern hemisphere as well. It's incredible. It's incredible. Just this morning. Just this morning. Now, by Saturday morning, all of us are going to be hit with more radiation. Plasma radiation will hit the Earth about Saturday morning, 2 days after the eruption on the sun. Most plasma radiation hits the Earth within 48 to 72 hours. We expect the Earth to be hit with plasma radiation. Now, will this be a grid down situation? No, it won't. But this will be a disruption in radio communication. This will be a disruption in radio communication between police, fire, paramedics, and aircraft traveling around the globe. Aircraft up higher in the atmosphere communicating with air traffic controllers. Roscosmos and NASA communicating with the satellites and or the space station. All of these organizations may see radio communications cut. You may also see your television communications having problems if you watch satellite or cable television. You may see disruption in your television signals on various channels. You all need to be prepared for that as well. Now let's talk about earthquakes today. There are plenty of earthquakes that have hit this country and around the world. Let's go over to the USGS map. I want to show you what has happened. All of you deserve to know what's going on. Over here in the southern Cascadia subduction region in Northern California, we have had an earthquake hit earlier this morning. An earthquake hit here earlier this morning. Let's take a look at what happened. This USGS said was a 4.4 earthquake. A moderate 4.4 earthquake that USGS and the other agencies are calling light earthquakes. But this 4.4 earthquake was felt all the way east over to Reno, Nevada. Folks, I have already checked. This was not a 4.4 earthquake. This was a 5.8 earthquake. This was a large 5.8 earthquake, a full magnitude and a half larger than what USGS said it was. There is no way in hell that a 4.4 earthquake here on the Mendocino Fault could have been felt all the way to Sacramento and all the way east to Reno. This was a 5.8 large earthquake. A 5.8 large earthquake. A full magnitude and a half larger than what they're saying it was. Let's zoom in here and take a look at these other aftershocks. This was a 4.4. This is a 4.0. This earthquake is a 3.0 here, downgraded 2.9. This earthquake is another 4.0, downgraded to a 3.9. The 0.9 Society is alive and well. Why do we call it the 0.9 Society? Because if USGS does not like the magnitude that it was come out to be, then they downgrade it to the next nearest 0.9. They downgrade it to the nearest 0.9. That's why we call it the 0.9 Society, being alive and well. We go further to the northeast. Another aftershock here. This is a 3.7 small earthquake. 4.0, 4.9 are considered to be moderate earthquakes until USBS and these other agencies earlier this year decided they were going to change the title of these earthquakes. They're calling them light earthquakes. There's nothing light about a 4.9 or even a 4.5 or a 4.0 earthquake. 4.0, 4.9 earthquakes can cause damage, such as knocking pictures and other things off of walls, knocking books and other things off of tables, rattling dishes and plates in cupboards, rattling them sufficient to knock them out of cupboards. Those are moderate earthquakes, not light earthquakes. Large earthquakes such as the 5.0, 5.9. Those are large earthquakes, not moderate earthquakes as USGS has designated them as. This was not a 4.4, it was a 5.8 large earthquake, a very large 5.8 earthquake. 5.5, actually 5.4 to 5.9 are considered to be very large earthquakes. 3.0, 3.9 are considered to be small earthquakes. Unreal. We go further north. This is a 1.5 tremor. This is 3 kilometers north of Petrolia, California. Although USGS says that this is south of Petrolia. What a crock. Petrolia is down here along the coastline where you see the knob go out to the sea here. Petrolia is south of where this earthquake happened. This earthquake is north of Petrolia. Let's go further south and west. This is a 2.3 minor earthquake. 2.0, 2.9 are considered to be minor earthquakes. This is a 2.3 earthquake here. Just to the north of there, right here. This is a 1.4 tremor, also northeast of Petrolia. And USGS is calling this southwest of Petrolia. If this was southwest of Petrolia, California, this would be out to sea. USGS still cannot get its directions correctly. Let's look at this earthquake just west of that quake. This is a 1.6 tremor here. USGS says this is 4 kilometers west-southwest of Petrolia. No, it's not. This is east-northeast of Petrolia, California. East-northeast of Petrolia, California. One more aftershock here. This is a 1.5 tremor here. Also, this is 1 mile northeast of Petrolia, California. While USGS said it is southwest of Petrolia, it is not. It's northeast of Petrolia, California. USGS continues to lie to the public. There's one other earthquake over here out to sea, east of Petrolia. This is south of the San Andreas Fault. You see that red, almost horizontal line leaving the California coastline, going out to meet 2 other red lines out to the west? That is the San Andreas Fault. This is a 2.2 earthquake, 38 kilometers west of Petrolia. This time USGS got it right. This is 38 kilometers west of Petrolia, California, out to sea. Out to sea. Now you see these other 2 red lines here. One going almost straight west from the coastline, and one line almost going straight north. The line that meets these other lines here is called the Gorda Escarpment. The Gorda Escarpment is joined here, right smack dab out here in the ocean. This area is called the Triple Junction. The Triple Junction called that because it is a joining of the Gorda Escarpment and the Cascadia Subduction Zone to the north, and also the San Andreas Fault out to the west. out to the east of you. So the San Andreas Fault out to the east, the Gorda Escarpment out to the west, and the Cascadia Subduction Zone to the north. This is further south from the San Andreas Fault and south of the Triple Junction. Okay? That's what happened today. Let's take a closer look at what happened. Before we do that, I have to restart this map. Why? Because, folks, when we have this map up, USGS makes sure that this map does not work after a period of time when we're showing you the earthquakes. So I have to come out here and restart it. That's what I am in the process of doing right now. I'm restarting it as we speak. As you see, I restarted it. You have the map of the United States here and Canada. Okay? Let's go north. Let's go north away from Petrolia, California here. Okay, I showed you the earthquakes around Petrolia, California. Let's go north here, just offshore from Oregon. This is a 1.5 tremor offshore from Port Orford, Oregon. This is basically the nearest location to Port Orford that you can get without being on land. This is 17 kilometers west-southwest of Port Orford, Oregon. Last week we had several earthquakes out here as well. One was a 5.3 further west offshore. Another one was a 2.5, and another one was a 2.7, nearly in the same location. Those earthquakes hit on that line running north, which is called the Cascadia Subduction Zone. The Cascadia Subduction Zone. Let's go further north here. This time, let's go on land. Okay? I'm going over here to Mount St. Helens, a volcano over here in Washington State, southern Washington State. Mount St. Helens. I can assure you, these are not the only earthquakes hitting Mount St. Helens today. This earthquake is considered to be a minus 0.2, is what the USGS says it is. I can assure you this. It is not a minus 0.2, which is supposed to say, like I said, it is supposed to say or signify. It is supposed to signify an earthquake that is above sea level. Sorry, it's not. This is a 0.1. This is a quarter of a mile deep inside the volcano. This is the earthquake I just showed you a minute ago. USGS says this is a minus 0.2. This is 3 miles deep, 6.1 kilometers deep, 3 miles deep. That is also not above sea level. Sorry, USGS, you are out to lunch. This is what they call a surface quake. USGS has denoted this to be a 0.0 magnitude quake. This also is not a surface quake. This is on the top, or this is just below the surface of the volcano. This is a third of a mile deep. A third of a mile deep. Approximately 2,000 feet beneath the surface. Approximately 2,000 feet beneath the surface. This is not a surface quake. A surface quake would be on the surface of the earth. This is well below that. Another earthquake here in the summit, at the summit of the volcano, right here. This is a 0.3, USGS says it is. A 0.3 microquake. All these earthquakes so far I've shown you are supposed to be microquakes. This is a 0.3. This is 1/4 of a mile deep. Okay? Also, every one of these earthquakes, they say, is 38 kilometers north-northeast of Amboy, Washington. Sorry, USGS, you got those directions wrong as well. This is a 0.2 microquake as well. This is 3.5 miles deep. 3.5 miles deep. Unreal. I can assure you this. While there may be microquakes hitting Mount St. Helens, they are not the only earthquakes to be hitting Mount St. Helens today. There are minor earthquakes, 2.0 to 2.9. There are some 3.0 and even 3.5 earthquakes hitting Mount St. Helens. These are not the only seismic events happening here at Mount St. Helens. USBS never tells the truth, and I've shown you those facts before. I've shown you seismograms in the past. I've proven this fact over and over and over again. Let's go north. Earlier today, before I went on this program, USGS did not show any earthquakes near this volcano. This is Mount Rainier. USBS is showing one earthquake west of Mount Rainier. This is a 0.4 microquake here. This is considered to be 8.4 or 4.4 miles deep. 4.4 miles deep. This also is not north-northeast of Ashford, Washington. This is west of Mount Rainier. I have not ever seen one earthquake or any kind of seismic event posted by the USGS to be related to any of the volcanoes, including Mount Rainier. Not one. And today this is not an exception either. While they're not showing any earthquakes or seismic events at all at Mount Rainier, let me assure you this, there are. There are microquakes hitting this volcano. There are tremors hitting this volcano. There are minor and small earthquakes hitting Mount Rainier. Both Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens are getting ready to erupt. Heaven forbid that USGS would show this information to the public. Why don't they want to show it? Because they don't want to admit there's a problem. They do not want to admit that these volcanoes are getting ready to erupt. They don't want to even give a warning to the people. Because what would happen when this volcano erupts? Number one, when these volcanoes erupt, these eruptions will displace people. They will injure people. The eruptions will kill people. USGS does not want to talk about it. They never want to admit when they're wrong. They never want to admit when they're wrong. Not now, not ever. Let's go north here. Mount Vernon, Washington. A 1.1 tremor near Mount Vernon, Washington. USGS says this is 4 kilometers, 2 miles west of Mount Vernon, Washington. Interesting. Let's go further to the southwest here. In the Puget Sound. In the Puget Sound. This USGS says is a 0.8 microquake. 18 kilometers deep. 9 miles deep. 9 miles deep. Each and every one of these earthquakes is related to the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. The Cascadia megathrust earthquake. Why do I say that? Because sometime I expect within the next 5 years, there's going to be a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake that's going to occur off the coast of the Seattle-Tacoma area. Either near or on either the Cascadia subduction zone, this line closest to the coast, here that you see, or the Juan de Fuca Fault. Juan, Juan, D-E, Day, Fuca, F-U-C-A. The Juan de Fuca Fault is that segmented fault, the zigzag fault further west from the Cascadia subduction zone. 234 years ago, AD 1700, in January, this earthquake struck. It was considered to be a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. That earthquake struck this area. It was felt all the way up here to Alaska. Felt all the way up here in Alaska. The earthquake was also felt all the way down to Mexico. All the way down to Mexico. Within 15 minutes after the earthquake hit. Within 15 minutes after the earthquake hit, water started rushing away from shore. Water started rushing away from shore right after the earthquake hit. Within 15 to 30 minutes after the earthquake hit, the water that had been rushing away from shore, leaving the beaches empty, leaving the beaches with nothing but sand on the beaches, came roaring back to shore. A tsunami, anywhere from 50 to 150 foot high, hitting Washington, Alaska, British Columbia, Canada, and all the way down the coast to Mexico, all the way down the west coast of North America. That happened. That is exactly what's going to happen again when this earthquake hits sometime in the next 5 years. Promise. Promise. Some scientists are saying it could be 25 to 50 years. Judging from the earthquakes that we've seen, not just what USGS wants to show us. In the past, I've shown you seismograms, computer animations of the earthquakes that have occurred day to day here in the Cascadia subduction zone region. Not just the volcanoes, but also the earthquakes hitting up and down the coast. The seismograms are detailed computer graphs showing the earthquakes. Judging from the seismograms that I've showed you in the past, the earthquakes that we're seeing here is proof positive that the Cascadia megathrust earthquake is closer than scientists are alluding to. Like I said, I believe the earthquake will hit within the next 5 years. 5 years, ladies and gentlemen. Do you have an emergency preparedness plan? Do you have an emergency preparedness plan? you have an emergency preparedness plan? I'm asking this for a reason. I'm asking you this for a reason. A very, very good reason. Do you all know what's going to happen? I just told you. I just told you what's going to happen. A 9.0, 10.0 earthquake is going to happen there. It's going to be felt all the way up to Alaska and all the way south to Mexico, northern Mexico. When that tsunami hit 234 years ago, the tsunami went across the entire Pacific Basin, all the way over to Japan. All the way over to Japan, causing a tsunami to hit Japan. 50 to 150 foot waves hitting Japan. Not only did the waves hit the northwestern, or not just the northwestern, but the western side of the Pacific here in America. Hit over in Japan as well. That is one of the reasons we know the detailed time and date that this earthquake hit in the Pacific Northwest. It's going to hit again. It will hit again. I promise you that it will hit again. It's coming. It's coming, ladies and gentlemen, and you need to be ready for it. Let's go back here to the USGS map. I've got more information to show you here. You can see there's a lot of earthquakes that have hit up here in Alaska. South Central Alaska's gotten hit. Tremors and minor earthquakes for the most part. That's all that's hit. You see one red earthquake here. Let's find out how strong that earthquake was. This was a 1.5 tremor. This just got through happening. Central Alaska. Central Alaska, it's a 1.5 tremor. This is just over a half mile deep. Just over a half mile deep. Over here in the Central Aleutian Trench. Over here in the Central Aleutian Trench. Near Nikolsky, Alaska. This is a large 5.0 earthquake. A large 5.0 earthquake. Now, while this did not hit near any landmass, it did not hit near any occupied islands. This hit in the Aleutian Island Trench here. Right here. This is another 4.4 moderate earthquake here. This is 157 kilometers east-northeast of Atka, Alaska. East-northeast of Atka, Alaska. Okay? Now you see one other earthquake over here. This is 126 kilometers west-southwest of Atka, Alaska. This is a 2.4 minor earthquake here. Let's go further south. Right here. This is in the Volcano Islands southeast of Japan. The Volcano Islands southeast of Japan. This is a 5.1 large earthquake. A 5.1 large earthquake. Let's go here to the southwest. This is just northeast of Taiwan. This is a 4.2 moderate earthquake. a 4.2 moderate earthquake off the coast of Taiwan. No one was even hit by this earthquake. The waters of the Pacific Ocean here absorbed the shock waves of this quake. 4.2 earthquake just northeast of Taiwan today. Okay? Let's go further south. Yes, there were other earthquakes in the Mariana Trench out to the east here, just south of the Volcano Islands. There were other earthquakes also over here in the Philippines. Again, the USBS is not showing any of those quakes. The USBS is showing us one earthquake over here in Sumatra, Indonesia. This is a 4.3 moderate earthquake. A 4.3 moderate earthquake here. USBS is only showing one other earthquake here in Indonesia. This is a 5.0 earthquake that USGS has downgraded to a 4.9. Again, the 0.9 society is alive and well. But the problem is this. The USBS is lying to us again, over and over and over again. Let me show you this. You may or may not be surprised by what I'm going to show you. Let me get my other device here. Even the EMSC that I'm showing you this map from. This is the EMSC map. Look at these other earthquakes here. Earlier today there were 23 earthquakes here in Indonesia. The EMSC is showing you more earthquakes than even USGS. But the EMSC has taken down the majority of those earthquakes. I show you one earthquake over in Sumatra. This is another one. This is a 3.2 earthquake in southern Sumatra there. I showed you the other one that's just north of there. This other one here is off the north west coast of Sumatra, Indonesia. This is a 2.8 earthquake here. 2.8 earthquake here. Like I said, there are a lot more earthquakes in Indonesia here. Let's go over to northeastern Indonesia. This is the Papua region of Indonesia. This is a 4.3 earthquake here. A 4.3 earthquake there. South of there, where USGS was showing us a quake, there is a 4.6, a 3.8, and the 5.0 earthquake here. A 4.6 to the north, a 3.8, and then this other 5.0 earthquake here in Papua, Indonesia. 3 earthquakes, 2 of which USGS did not want to admit to. And there were other earthquakes also here in Indonesia. Over here in southern Indonesia, in Java, there were earthquakes there. Over to the east, northeast, over in the Banda Sea, there were earthquakes. And again, the EMSC has taken those earthquakes down. Now, while the USGS is not showing you earthquakes in Australia, let me move this map to show you Australia here. Let me take my webcam down here and show you Australia. USGS is not showing any earthquakes in Australia. Let me bring the webcam back up. Well, guess what? Over in southeastern Australia, there's a 2.5 earthquake here. A 2.5 earthquake over here in southeastern Australia. USGS is not showing that earthquake either. Normal. Normal. They are also not showing you any earthquakes at all in New Zealand. They're not showing you any earthquakes at all in New Zealand here. None. They're showing you one earthquake in the Kermadec Islands. This earthquake is a 5.0 earthquake. A large 5.0 earthquake. The other earthquakes over here in New Zealand are minor and small earthquakes. Minor and small earthquakes here in New Zealand. One large earthquake in the Kermadec Islands to the north of New Zealand. The Kermadec Islands are non-human occupied. The only occupants of the Kermadec Islands are seabirds. Seabirds. The only time humans go aboard these islands are during high tide. Otherwise, their boats would be wrecked up by volcanic rocks just beneath the surface. That's the only way people can get on those islands or boats during high tide. Now, I want to show you another earthquake to the north. USGS is calling this a 5.1 earthquake. A large 5.1 earthquake. This is 29 kilometers southwest of Hihi-Fotonga. Southwest of Hihi-Fotonga. One earthquake west of there. This is a 4.3 in the islands of Wallis-Futuna. The islands of Wallis-Futuna to the north of Fiji. 128 kilometers southeast of the islands of Wallis-Futuna. W-A-L-L-I-S, Futuna, F-U-T-A-N-A. Wallis-Futuna. Now, I want to take you over to Hawaii. I'm going to show you earthquakes that the USGS is not going to show you. I'm going to show you earthquakes that the USGS is not going to show you here in Hawaii. Right smack dab in Hawaii. Actually, the USGS is now showing more earthquakes than they did, so I will go over here to the USGS map here, because the EMSC map is taking off some of these earthquakes. Over here to the west, on the southwestern side of the Big Island, this is a 1.8 tremor. To the north of that, this is on the west side of Mauna Loa, the west flank of the mountain, the west flank of Mauna Loa. This is a 2.0 minor earthquake here. Now, while USGS is not showing any earthquakes here near the summit of Mauna Loa, there are earthquakes here at Mauna Loa. USGS will never show them to us, ever. There are about 28 earthquakes here at Mauna Loa. Most of these earthquakes are 2.0 to 3.5 earthquakes. They're not going to show them to us. To the north, over here at Mauna Kea. Mauna Kea volcano, folks, is another very strong volcano here on the Big Island. A very strong volcano here on the Big Island. Mauna Kea actually has more earthquakes than Mauna Loa is showing. More earthquakes here at Mauna Kea than is showing at Mauna Loa. It just happens. And yet USGS is saying that Mauna Kea will not erupt. That Mauna Loa will erupt before Mauna Kea does. I believe that one day, because of all the earthquakes that occur at Mauna Kea, there will be an eruption here. There will be an eruption here. Let's go to the southeast here. Okay? Let's go over here to Pahala. South of the town of Pahala here. This is a 2.0 earthquake. USGS downgraded to 1.9 tremor. 2.0 earthquake. This is a 2.1 minor earthquake here. South of that town called Pahala, just to the north. Now let's go offshore. Offshore we have several underwater volcanoes. Offshore underwater volcanoes. This is a 2.1 earthquake here. A 2.1 minor earthquake at one of the undersea volcanoes. They call it undersea mount volcanoes. Let's go over here to the area that is also considered to be Pahala, near the shoreline here on the Big Island. This is a 1.6 tremor. Further north to the west here, this is also considered to be Pahala. This is a 2.6 earthquake, a minor 2.6 earthquake. To the north, this is a 2.4 earthquake here. Now, I'm coming up here to Kilauea volcano there. You see Kilauea volcano at Halemaumau crater. Halemaumau crater. South of Kilauea, we see we see four earthquakes. Four earthquakes. This is a 1.6. This is a 2.0 minor earthquake. 1.6 is a tremor. The 2.0 is a minor earthquake. This is a 1.7 tremor. And this is a 1.4. These are just south and east of Kilauea volcano. Now we come out further here to the east here. This is considered to be a fern forest. This is fern forest. This is a 1.7 tremor in fern forest. This is a 1.9, 2.0 earthquake. 2.0 earthquake here in fern forest. Now you can see over here into the rest of the Big Island to the northeast. This is considered to be Leilani Estates. And no, we don't show any earthquakes here in Leilani Estates. There are no earthquakes today that we know of. However, Fern Forest and Leilani Estates had between them 24 fissures that opened up in 2018 after Kilauea and Pu'u'o volcanoes drained out. Pu'u'o and Kilauea volcano had lava inside the craters. That lava drained out of those volcanoes and it came over here to Fern Forest and Leilani Estates. 24 fissure eruptions happened, just like the fissure eruptions we've had in Iceland. 24 fissure eruptions happened out here. Lava poured out of the fissures over onto the landscape. 1,500 homes were destroyed. Over 3,000 people were displaced, lost their homes because of destruction from the red-hot fiery lava. Some of that lava made its way to the shoreline of the Big Island out here. I just enlarged this map here. What you're seeing here is not clouds. These white areas are lava plumes. They're considered to be lava plumes. Lava plumes where the lava made it to the surface and the lava was emanating sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide to the surface. Sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide to the surface. Look at this. When this eruption happened, the lava drained out of the fissures and came over here to the coastline, giving the big island probably close to 30 more acres. 30 more acres of land. Then, after these fissures started to dry up, when there was no more volcanic action anywhere, no more fountaining eruptions happened. The fountaining stopped. These fissures left over craters and cones after the eruption stopped. Some of these craters and cones are now named volcanoes. The Hawaiian people named these cones and craters. Incredible. Incredible. Does anybody have any questions about what I've shown you so far? Does anybody have any questions about anything we've shown you so far? USGS is not showing any activity at all over in Europe. None. None. I can promise you right now. Like I said, there were 24 earthquakes in Indonesia today. You don't see that many now. I can promise you over in the southern part of California, in the area of the Imperial Valley in California, there are at least 300 earthquakes and tremors there. There are approximately 4 earthquakes in Yellowstone. Tremors. 3 other earthquakes in Montana to the north. 2 earthquakes over on the New Madden Fault today. There are approximately 400 earthquakes in Europe. USGS is not showing any of them. None. That's pretty much typical for the USGS. Not showing them. They will even admit to you that they won't show them to you. They won't show those earthquakes to you. Over here on the New Madden Fault, they're not showing any earthquakes. I can also promise you this. There are at least 150 earthquakes here on the New Madden Fault, north to south. North to south. Over here to the east, this is Lafayette, Georgia. This is a 2.0 earthquake in Lafayette, Georgia. This is over in the mountainous regions of Georgia. The Smoky Mountains, guys. The Smoky Mountains. This is also considered to be the Eastern Continental Divide. That is one of the reasons you're seeing earthquakes here. The Eastern Continental Divide. We've talked about this before. There are earthquakes up and down the Eastern Continental Divide, and even over on the land next to the shoreline. 2.5, even 3.5 earthquakes up and down the coastline here on the eastern side of the United States. Over to Alaska, or over to Canada here, to the northwest here in Canada. We have tremors and minor earthquakes hitting in Canada. Why? Why? We talked about it yesterday. The Mid-Atlantic Fault here. The Mid-Atlantic Fault here in the ocean is expanding. The Mid-Atlantic Fault is pushing Africa and Europe in an easterly direction. As a result, we have earthquakes in the Canary Islands. We have earthquakes in Spain, the Azores, France, Germany, Austria, Italy, all the time. We have earthquakes in Croatia and Scandinavia, Romania as well, and even over in Iceland. USGS is not showing them. Why? They've already said they're not going to show all the earthquakes because they don't believe they have to. They're not going to show the earthquakes because they don't want people to know what's happening. That's the bottom line. They'll deny it. They will deny it. And honestly, I'm going to tell you this. After President Trump wins office, after President Trump is inaugurated in office, possibly before that, I will contact the President-elect. And I will request a meeting with the President-elect and talk to him about geology. Talk to him about what I know is going on. And yes, I am going to ask him for the position. Many of you have asked me this before, that I would become the director of the USGS. Yes, I am going to ask to be the director of the United States Geological Survey. And if I'm appointed to that position by the president, I promise you this, people will know what's going on. People will know 7 days a week, 24/7, what is going on here in the United States, Canada, and around the world. People deserve to know. We are not an elite society. We are a slightly subservient society in that we are not living under Washington, D.C. However, we will have elected the President of the United States. And I'm going to be asked, excuse me, I will be asking the President-elect for the position of Director of the United States Geological Survey. Yeah, I have a college degree. I'm going to ask for that position because I believe the citizens of the United States and the world deserve to know what's going on. You see earthquakes here in Puerto Rico. Yes, we have earthquakes here in Puerto Rico today. I have explained where those earthquakes have come from. Over here in northern South America and along the eastern or the western coast of South America, we have earthquakes, a lot of earthquakes. For example, this one. This one is a 5.0 earthquake near Vallenar, Chile. 84 kilometers west out in the ocean off the coast of Vallenar, Chile. We have another earthquake, a large earthquake here, southern Peru. This is near Lucumba, Peru. 5.0 earthquake, 116 kilometers deep. This is still considered to be a fairly shallow earthquake. This one here, 5.0 also, large earthquake, Vallenar, Chile, is also a very shallow earthquake, 31 kilometers deep. You see other earthquakes here. There are a lot more earthquakes than they're showing. There are actually 19 earthquakes here along the coast of South America. 19 earthquakes. There is a reason that we're not seeing them, because USGS decides that don't matter. That they don't matter, and they do. You don't see any earthquakes in southern Mexico or even here in Central America. None. Why not? Again, USGS decides they don't want to show them. 28 earthquakes in southern Mexico alone. 8 earthquakes in Central America. Fascinating, they don't want to show them. Incredible. That's what's going on. David Lowe says, I'd make a great director of the USGS. Now, while there are scientists with even more education than I do, I also know the truth. I also know the truth, and I will tell the truth about what's going on. I will tell the truth about what's going on. Now, it looks to me like we've had another earthquake here to the north. This is in Grande Prairie, Canada. Grande Prairie, Canada to the north. This is north of Alberta, Canada here. This is a 4.6 earthquake, 10 kilometers deep. Notice where this earthquake occurred. This is in the Eastern Rockies. This earthquake is in the Eastern Rockies, the eastern side of the Rocky Mountains. Occasionally we do have earthquakes that come up here. These earthquakes come off of Alaska here to the west. They come out of Alaska here to the west. They come through the mountain range here. They come through the mountain range here and come over here to the Rocky Mountains in the western side of the Rockies here. They come down the Rockies here where you see this earthquake in Grande Prairie, Canada. A 4.6 earthquake here. Now, while we don't usually have earthquakes here, USGS is actually showing this, and I'm surprised, because usually we have to go to the Earthquake Agency of Canada, NR Canada, to get this earthquake. I'm very surprised we see this tonight. We will see seismic energy going south from here. You might expect to see earthquakes in Alberta sometime in the next couple days. You might see even moderate to small earthquakes coming down through the Rocky Mountains of the United States and into New Mexico probably within the next week. Okay? That's what I believe is going to happen. David Lowe said there's lots of oil wells around the Canadian area there. Wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I don't know much about that area of Canada. But it wouldn't surprise me at all. Richard Smith is asking, can you show the Canadian seismic site for the West Coast? Let me pull it up. Let me find it and pull it up here. Let's see here. Let's see here what we can show you. Yes, I'm going to do it in just a second. I will do that in just a second here. Let me take down this earthquake map here. This is the Canadian earthquake site. Okay? Actually, you saw it. I don't know why it went black. I have no clue why it went black. But it did. This is a Canadian site. This is NR Canada. This is NR Canada, guys. Okay? You can go to www.earthquakes.canada.gc.ca/index, INDEX-en.php. www.earthquakescanada.nrcan.gc.ca/en.php. That's a site. Okay? That's a site. Now, on this site, on October 17th, they show a 4.3 moderate earthquake south of Fort McPherson, Northern Territories. On October 9th, they show a 4.0 near Yakutat, Alaska, along the southeastern shore of Alaska. They show a 4.5 on October 6th, west of Burwash Landing, Yukon Territories. They show a 4.5 on October 6th, 65 kilometers northeast of Grand Cache, Alberta, Canada. And also on October 4th, a 4.1, 198 kilometers west-southwest of Bella Bella, British Columbia. Those are the largest earthquakes that they're talking about today on NR Canada. And if you go into your browser and put in NR Canada, Earthquakes Canada, you will see this site come up. And you can click on it. You can click on it. Now, over in the northern part of Canada, going up the middle part of the country, this is in Baffin Bay, Baffin Bay. They show a 4.2 earthquake that happened on the 18th, October 18th. Over near Yellowknife, Canada, there was a 4.0 earthquake that hit there, 5 kilometers deep near Watson Lake, Yukon Territories. I've told you about the other earthquakes that have hit off the west coast of Canada. NR Canada is also showing the 4.2 earthquake that was off the coast of Portland, Oregon, that happened on the 19th of October. So NR Canada is also showing those earthquakes off of Oregon and Washington. They're showing it. On the East Coast, there's not that many earthquakes. Again, most of these are 2.0 to 2.5, and even 1.0 to 1.1. Tremors over near Ottawa, even east of Toronto. They're even showing a minor tremor over near Ohio, near Cleveland, Ohio. And actually it wasn't a tremor, it was a 2.0 earthquake. That earthquake hit on September 28th. Incredible what you see here on Earthquake Canada. And I'm sorry that this map went black, this site went black. I don't know why. I have no idea why this site went black. I've never seen that happen before. I've never seen it happen before. Here it is. I got it come up white. How about that, guys? These are the earthquakes I told you about. Okay? Then they show these earthquakes on the map. And I can reduce the size of this map to show you the earthquakes I just got through talking about. Okay? This is what you see on NR Canada. Arnold Smith says Catherine Sigerson is in the house. Yes, she is. Catherine Sigerson is a great friend of our program. She also lives in south central Canada. I think she lives in Saskatchewan, Canada, if I'm not mistaken. Saskatchewan, Canada. And I've been in Saskatchewan myself. It's a great place. Catherine, welcome. We appreciate you being here. Do you have any questions? Don Patoga's here in the chat saying your questions are important. Only bad question is the ones you don't ask. I would love to see any and all questions that you have for me. I really would. That would be awesome. It would be really awesome to see the questions that you have for me. Any questions for me, guys? I absolutely love seeing those questions from you. It makes me happy. It makes Ron a very happy man. When you have questions, it's a kick. It's a kick, guys. You guys are my friends. You guys are my buddies. You guys are my family. Arnold Smith says, Manitoba, Canada. I've been there. I've been in Manitoba, Canada. Manitoba, Canada is a great place. A really great place. I don't know how many times I've been in Manitoba, but as a teenager, I believe from the time I was 13 until I was 16, I was in Manitoba at least 4 times. I was even up in Lake of the Woods, Canada, and Lake of the Woods, United States, fishing with my father. It was a kick. It was a kick. That's cool. Catherine, it's good to see you here. Appreciate you. Diane Cummins says, does the site have the depths of the earthquakes in Canada? Yes, it does. It absolutely does. Don Patoka says he's been over Canada more times than he's been in Canada. Yes, Don was in the Air Force, and I am sure that he flew over Canada many times. Not surprising. I think I flew over Canada in an Air Force passenger jet out of Grand Forks Air Force Base, and I think that happened in 1973, something like that. I was in Air Force ROTC out of Fargo. Great place. Great place. Any questions, guys? I would love to have your questions. You'd make Ron a very happy man. Catherine Sigerson says she lives in Rivstone on Bedrock. Not surprising. That's not surprising at all. David Lowe is from southwestern Saskatchewan. I've been in Saskatchewan, Canada too. Cool place. Yes, I can imagine your area where you live in, Catherine, was aquatic volcanoes at one time. Not surprising. Angela has a question. She says, I know my questions are dumb and basic, but I'm learning. No, they're not dumb. I can assure you, Angela, your questions are not dumb at all. Okay? I would love to answer your questions. Good old Manitoba, Canada. Man, I miss that. I miss that. Maybe one day I'll be able to return. Dan Cummins says, do they have as many and as frequent in Canada as the U.S.? No, they don't. No, they don't. The only time that you see earthquakes along the west coast of Canada is because of what's going on there. Why? The Cascadia subduction zone, that's why. The Cascadia subduction zone is very active. That's why you're seeing earthquakes off the west coast of British Columbia, Canada, and the United States. That's going to happen. We are going to see a major earthquake there, I believe, in the next 5 years. And if I'm wrong, I hope I am, but I don't think I am. Given the information that I've seen and shown you over the years that I've been doing this, the seismic activity has increased and the strength of earthquakes have also increased. Okay? Richard Smith says the seismicity has been slowly getting worse here around Nova Scotia, but hasn't been bad lately. I agree. I agree. At some point in time, the earthquakes along the east coast of the U.S. and Canada are going to get worse. They're going to get bigger and more frequent. That's what's happening on the west coast already. That's what's happening on the west coast already. Guys, I love and appreciate you. I really do. You guys make it worth it for me to be here. You guys also help me keep my head together. You help me keep my sanity here. And I mean that literally. You guys help me keep my sanity here. Now, with that said, I've talked about this scripture that I want to share with you many times over the last few years. This is one of my favorite scriptures in Philippians. Tonight I'm going to read you chapter 1, verses 3, 4, 5, and 6 here. I thank my God upon every remembrance of you. You, and you, all of you. I thank my God upon every remembrance of all of you. Always in every prayer of mine. For you all making requests with joy. For your fellowship in the gospel from the first day until now. Verse 6 was made manifest to me from a friend of mine. So I'm going to continue with verse 6. Being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you, meaning Jesus Christ, will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ, until the second coming of Jesus Christ. The Lord is going to continue to perform his work in each one of us, preparing us for the day that Jesus Christ comes back to rule the world. And I think we're only a matter of time, literally, before Jesus Christ returns to the earth. The second coming of Jesus Christ. I've appreciated being able to share this with you. Again, I want to encourage all of you who are voting in your own countries or here in the United States of America. Go vote. We all need to elect good people. Pray about who you're going to vote for before you go. Then vote your mind. Vote your mind who you want to see serving in public office. And make sure they get there. Make sure they get there. I know for a fact that the Lord loves us. He wants us to thrive. We can only do that if we do what the Lord wants us to do. That is doing what the Lord has asked us to do, including to vote. To make sure we're putting good people in office around us, over us. He wants our countries and each one of us to thrive. He wants that. Now, tomorrow night we will be back on the air at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I am urging all of you to be here with us. We're going to talk about earthquakes. We're going to talk about President Trump. And we are also going to talk about emergency preparedness. I would ask each of you to be here with us. Come here loaded with questions. I will be happy to answer any preparedness questions that you may have. If you want to send me notices of things that you want me to talk about, send me an email to rltnspdema@gmail.com. Please send me that email so I'll prepare for those things that you specifically want me to talk about. You can also show me questions live in the chat room. I will be taking questions live from the chat room from you tomorrow night. Yes, we will be talking about the election here in the United States because I feel it's absolutely necessary. I want you to be fully aware of what's going on because it's not just going to affect us here in the United States. It's going to affect countries around the world. What happens on November 2nd is going to affect countries around the world. I promise you that. Now I ask the Lord to be with you. I ask the Lord to be with you and bless you with the things you stand in need of. I'm asking each one of us to also keep Sage Pup. His first name is Tony. Keep him in your prayers. He has a bad case of cancer in his lower abdomen. We need to pray for him. Pray for his health and safety. Pray that the doctor's hands are guided to help him recover from what he's going through. I don't know when his surgery is scheduled, but I'm sure he'll tell us. God bless you, Tony. We love you. I don't think he's here with us right today. He hasn't been feeling good. I know there's others of us here that are seeking medical treatment, including my buddy Don Patoka here. I ask for blessings to be upon Don's head as well. I've known Don now for a lot of years. He's a man I consider to be one of my closest friends. And not just that. He's a man of the gospel. He's a man of the gospel. He knows the gospel of Jesus Christ like he knows his own hand. He's one of my best friends. And a mod here on this channel. I'm asking the Lord to bless each one of you. Sage Pup is here. Thank you, Tony. God bless you. God bless you. Folks, if you need anything, let me know. I don't have that much money. The money that you guys give me, I hold sacredly to help keep this channel on the air. My wife and I don't spend it frivolously. We love you all. We appreciate your support here to our Super Chat. We appreciate it over on our Venmo, and our PayPal. We greatly appreciate it so much. Thank you, folks, for your support. Thank you for your love and kindness. It's very much appreciated. Also, guys, I'm asking you all to also try to support Samaritan's Purse. I'm asking people to support Samaritan's Purse for donations to the victims of Hurricane Helene here in North Carolina. So please help me with that. Carol's and my birthday are November 11th and 13th. I'm asking for a donation to Samaritan's Purse to help the victims here of the hurricane. FEMA is not doing what they're saying they're going to do. And yes, there is money from FEMA available to survivors, but I don't believe it's being spent correctly. I'm going to do my best to make sure it is. I've been all over FEMA. I've been helping Mark Robinson, who is the Lieutenant Governor right now, who's running for the office of Governor of North Carolina. I've been working with his office to help support the relief effort in the mountains of North Carolina. And I will continue doing that. I love these people here in North Carolina. I've been here just about 3.5 years. I've grown to love each and every person I've ever met, even those I haven't met up in the mountains. God bless you all. I ask God to bless each and every one of you here with us tonight. I'm asking you for your support. Please, folks, if you're not subscribed to this channel, please do so. 21 to 25% of the people that watch this program are not subscribed. I'm asking you all to subscribe to this program. And when you do that, right next to the subscription button, there's a little bell icon. Click on that little bell icon as well. That will get you notified when we come on the air. Click on that bell icon. There's a 3 drop-down menu of 3 items will come up. Click on the word ALL, all. That should get you notified whenever we come on the air. Yes, we usually during the week come on the air between 6 and 7 p.m. Eastern Time. But we do come on the air at odd times, the middle of the day or even late at night when there's things happening. And even on weekends when things happen. I do come on the air on Sunday afternoon at noon with Come Follow Me, the Savior Said. It's a Sunday school class. And this week we'll be talking about Christ quoting Isaiah. Christ quoting Isaiah chapters 52 through 54. It's going to be a great class. It will be an awesome class. I ask you to join us on Sunday at noon for that. Bring your family members. Bring your friends there. It would be greatly appreciated. Tell your friends and neighbors and anybody else that you know, your family members, your extended family, and the people you work with and the people you socialize with on social media. Bring them here to this channel and ask them to subscribe. I do that only because I want to be able to notify people when things happen to try to save their lives and get them prepared for emergencies. That's why I do that. Now God be with you this day and always. God be with you always. I ask that prayer to be with you, even in the sacred name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen. We'll be back later tonight or tomorrow during the day if anything happens as soon as the information becomes available. Have a good night, folks. We love you very much. See you soon. God bless. Enjoy. Take care. Bye-bye.